We've all heard the advice, eat your vegetables, they're good for you. And most of the time that's true. Vegetables are full of vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants that support a healthy life, especially as we age. But what if we told you that some vegetables might actually be putting your health at risk after age 60? Yes, you read that right. While most vegetables are safe and beneficial in moderation, there are certain ones that may cause serious problems for seniors, especially those who are taking medications, have lower blood pressure, or deal with digestive issues. These aren't exotic, hard-to-find foods. In fact, they might already be in your kitchen right now, hiding in your salad, your soup, or even your morning juice. Some of these vegetables can thin your blood too much, increasing the risk of bleeding if you're on anticoagulants. Others may lower your blood pressure too quickly, leading to dizziness or dangerous falls. And still others may interfere with your kidneys, thyroid, or blood sugar levels without you even realizing it. In today's video, we're going to uncover 7 vegetables that seniors should be cautious about, or stop eating altogether, depending on their health condition. These are vegetables that are often considered healthy, but may have hidden side effects that become more serious as we get older. If you've ever wondered why you feel bloated, lightheaded, or more tired after eating certain vegetables, this information might surprise you. But don't worry, we're not here to scare you. We're here to inform, protect, and empower you. Because knowing what to eat and what not to eat is one of the most important ways to stay strong, steady, and independent as you age. Stick with us through this video, and by the end, you'll be better equipped to make safe, smart food choices that support your body, not strain it. I know you are a person who likes to watch videos quietly. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it because you are a kind person. If the video is helpful, press 1. If the video is not good enough or needs improvement, press 2. Thanks everyone. Now let's get started. Number 1. Bean sprouts. Raw may not be safe for seniors. Mr. Albert, a 74-year-old retired teacher from California, had always considered himself a healthy eater. He loved adding raw bean sprouts to his salads and sandwiches, believing they were a perfect, fresh and crunchy source of nutrition. For years, he had heard that bean sprouts were high in vitamins, low in calories, and excellent for digestion. But one evening, after enjoying his usual raw vegetable salad, Albert began to feel queasy. Within hours, he was dealing with severe stomach cramps and diarrhea that left him weak and exhausted. His doctor later told him that the culprit was likely the raw bean sprouts, and that his body, at his age, simply wasn't able to handle the same foods it once could. While bean sprouts, especially mung bean and alfalfa sprouts, are often praised as nutrient-rich, they come with a hidden risk that is especially dangerous for older adults. Because they grow in warm, moist environments, the same conditions that bacteria like Salmonella, Listeria, and E. coli thrive in, raw sprouts can easily become contaminated. For healthy young adults, the immune system can usually fight off these bacteria without serious consequences. But for seniors whose immune defenses naturally decline with age, even a small dose of contaminated sprouts can lead to serious gastrointestinal infections that cause dehydration, weakness, and hospitalization. What makes things trickier is that sprouts often look and smell perfectly fresh, even when they carry harmful bacteria. That's because contamination usually happens at the seed level, long before the sprout even begins to grow. Washing them thoroughly doesn't guarantee safety, since the bacteria may already be inside the sprout. For seniors, especially those with diabetes, kidney disease, or other chronic conditions, this risk becomes much more serious. You might wonder, can I just cook them? The answer is yes. Cooking bean sprouts thoroughly kills harmful bacteria, making them much safer to eat. Stir-frying them in a hot pan, boiling them briefly, or adding them to soups are all safer ways to enjoy their crunch and nutrients without putting your health at risk. For Albert, this small change made a big difference. He didn't have to give up sprouts entirely. He just stopped eating them raw. Now I saute them with garlic and a little olive oil, he shared. They still taste great, and I feel safe eating them. For seniors looking to support their digestion and get more plant-based nutrients, There are safer raw options, like shredded carrots, cucumber, or lettuce, that carry far less bacterial risk. And if you do love sprouts, just remember, cook them before you eat them, especially if your immune system is more vulnerable. As we age, it's not just about eating healthy, it's about eating smart. That means understanding that some foods we've always thought of as healthy may need to be prepared differently to match the needs of our changing bodies. What once gave us energy might now cause distress if we're not careful. In the next section, we'll look at another herb often found in detox drinks and green smoothies, one that may thin the blood more than we realize and interact dangerously with common medications. Stay tuned for number 2, parsley. Too much can thin the blood. Mrs. Ruth, a 79-year-old grandmother from Florida, had always enjoyed gardening. One of her favorite herbs to grow was parsley. Fresh, bright, and easy to add to everything from soups to sandwiches. A few years ago, she started drinking green smoothies with generous handfuls of parsley every morning. It made me feel cleaner and lighter, she said. But after several months, Ruth noticed that even the smallest bruise on her arms would take forever to heal. She also experienced a minor gum bleed after brushing her teeth, something that had never happened before. At first, she thought it was just her age catching up with her. But during a routine visit, her doctor noticed her blood was taking longer to clot and asked about her diet. When she mentioned her daily parsley smoothies, the doctor raised a brow. "Did you know parsley can thin your blood?" he asked. Ruth was stunned. She had always thought parsley was just a harmless garnish. Parsley, while full of vitamin C, iron, and antioxidants, also contains natural compounds called coumarins. These compounds have a mild anticoagulant effect, meaning they can interfere with the blood's ability to clot. For most people, a sprinkle of parsley on top of a dish is harmless. But for seniors, and especially those who are already taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, aspirin, or Plavix, eating large amounts of parsley regularly can increase the risk of bruising, internal bleeding, and prolonged bleeding times. This risk is even higher if parsley is consumed in concentrated forms, like juices or herbal teas, where the dose of coumarins becomes more potent. Another concern is that parsley also contains vitamin K, which can interact with blood-thinning medications in the opposite way, by promoting clotting. This creates a confusing situation. Parsley may thin the blood through coumarins, but may also interfere with blood-thinning medications by supplying vitamin K, making it harder for your doctor to regulate your INR levels, a test that measures how well your blood is clotting. Inconsistent intake of parsley can lead to dangerous fluctuations. Your blood may become too thin one day and too thick the next, depending on how much parsley you had with lunch. Mrs. Ruth's doctor advised her to stop the parsley smoothies and return to using small amounts occasionally in cooking. After just a few weeks, the bruising on her arms became less frequent, and her blood test results stabilized. She didn't have to give up her love of herbs. She just needed to use them more mindfully. For seniors, especially those on medications that affect the blood or circulation, it's important to understand that not all healthy herbs are harmless in large amounts. Parsley, while rich in nutrients, should be treated with the same respect as any supplement or medication. If you're drinking green juices or smoothies with lots of parsley, or adding large handfuls to your meals daily, it might be time to pause and consider how it could be affecting your health, especially if you bruise easily or notice bleeding issues. It's a reminder that in nutrition, more is not always better, and even natural ingredients can act like medicine in the body. The goal isn't to avoid parsley entirely, but to be aware of how much you're consuming and how it fits into your overall health picture. In the next part, we'll talk about a common vegetable that's often used in soups and stews, one that may seem harmless, but in certain people can cause blood pressure to drop dangerously low. Let's continue with number 3, white radish, hidden risk of hypotension. Number 3, white radish, hidden risk of hypotension. Mr. Leonard, an 81-year-old retired postman from Illinois, had always enjoyed light, home-cooked soups, especially during colder months. One of his favorite ingredients was white radish, or daikon, which his daughter often added to clear vegetable broths. It was crisp, refreshing, and seemed easy on the stomach. But over the past few weeks, Leonard began feeling lightheaded when standing up from a chair. Sometimes, when he got out of bed too quickly, he would feel dizzy or even stumble slightly. At first, he assumed it was just fatigue or aging, but during a checkup, his doctor noticed a significant drop in Leonard's blood pressure and asked him about his meals. When white radish came up, the doctor explained something Leonard had never heard before. In older adults, especially those with already low or borderline blood pressure, consuming large amounts of white radish can quietly tip the balance toward hypotension, a condition where blood pressure falls too low, putting one at risk for falls, fainting, or worse. White radish is often viewed as a cleansing vegetable in many traditional diets. It contains natural compounds that support digestion and mild detoxification. While this may sound like a benefit, it also acts as a natural vasodilator, meaning it can cause blood vessels to relax and widen, resulting in a drop in blood pressure. For young, healthy individuals, this effect is barely noticeable and may even be desirable. But for older adults, especially those who are thin, have existing circulatory issues, or are already on medications for high blood pressure, this extra push can lead to dizziness, fatigue, and dangerous instability when standing or walking. Another concern is that white radish can also act as a mild diuretic, increasing urination, which may lead to further fluid loss and blood pressure drops, particularly in seniors who don't drink enough water throughout the day. Combined with certain medications, such as diuretics or ACE inhibitors, the effects of white radish on blood pressure can become more pronounced and risky. Leonard's doctor recommended that he cut back on the daikon-based soups and monitor how he felt. Within a week, his lightheaded spells decreased, and he felt more stable on his feet. He didn't need to eliminate white radish entirely, but he learned to eat it less often and never on an empty stomach. It was something so simple, Leonard said, but it made a big difference in how steady I felt. Many seniors aren't aware that vegetables like white radish, while mild in taste, can have powerful effects on internal systems. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it's harmless, especially when your body's balance is more fragile with age. If you're someone who often feels cold, weak, or lightheaded after meals, or if you're already managing low blood pressure, it may be worth examining whether radish or similar cooling vegetables are playing a role. Awareness is the first step toward prevention. By understanding how certain vegetables affect your circulatory system, you can avoid unexpected drops in blood pressure, and more importantly, avoid falls, which are one of the biggest threats to senior independence and longevity. Coming up next, we'll explore a leafy green that's known for its health benefits, but may quietly increase the risk of kidney stones, especially in older adults with a history of urinary issues. Let's move on to number 4, spinach. Watch out for kidney stones. Number 4, spinach. Watch out for kidney stones. Mrs. Eleanor, a 76-year-old former nurse from Arizona, took great pride in eating healthy. She loved colorful salads and green smoothies, and spinach was a staple in her diet. Every morning, she would blend a handful of raw spinach into her smoothie, thinking she was doing something great for her bones and heart. "It made me feel lighter and cleaner," she said. But after several months, Eleanor began experiencing pain in her lower back and a frequent urge to urinate. Thinking it was a simple urinary tract infection, she went to her doctor, only to discover she had developed a small kidney stone. What surprised her even more was what her doctor told her. Her high spinach intake could have played a role. Spinach is widely regarded as a superfood, packed with iron, calcium, fiber, and antioxidants. But what many people, especially seniors, don't realize is that spinach is also very high in oxalates, naturally occurring compounds that can bind with calcium in the body and form calcium oxalate stones in the kidneys. These stones can cause pain, discomfort, urinary issues, and if left untreated, may require medical procedures to remove. For older adults, especially those who may already have reduced kidney function or dehydration, the risk becomes even more significant. Oxalates aren't dangerous in small amounts. In fact, many healthy foods contain them. But when consumed in large quantities over time, especially in raw form, they can start to build up in the body. Raw spinach in particular contains some of the highest oxalate levels of any vegetable, And when added daily to smoothies or salads without proper hydration or balance, it may silently contribute to stone formation. What's more, seniors often drink less water during the day, and dehydration further concentrates oxalates in the urine, increasing the likelihood of crystallization and stone development. Eleanor was surprised. She had always thought spinach was a safe vegetable. Her doctor explained that while it's healthy in moderation, it shouldn't be eaten in large quantities every single day, especially not raw. After reducing her spinach intake to a few times per week and rotating with other greens like romaine or kale and increasing her water intake, her symptoms improved. She didn't give up spinach entirely, but she learned that even good foods need balance. If you've ever had a kidney stone, or if you've noticed signs like lower back discomfort, cloudy urine, or sudden urinary changes, it may be worth taking a look at your diet. High oxalate vegetables like spinach should be eaten in moderation, especially if you're not drinking enough fluids. Cooking spinach, as opposed to eating it raw, can reduce oxalate content by breaking it down and allowing some of it to be discarded with the cooking water. The takeaway is simple. Spinach is not the enemy, but too much of it, too often, without balance, can lead to unexpected health problems. Seniors need to be especially careful because kidneys naturally lose efficiency with age, and even a small stone can cause outsized pain and complications. So if you love spinach, continue enjoying it, just not every single day and not in giant handfuls tossed into raw smoothies. Instead, mix things up, drink plenty of water, and consider rotating your greens. Up next, we'll take a closer look at a group of vegetables that sound perfectly harmless, but can quietly interfere with thyroid function and digestion in older adults, especially when eaten raw. Let's continue with number 5, raw cruciferous vegetables, gas and thyroid trouble. Number 5, raw cruciferous vegetables, gas and thyroid trouble. Mr. Gerald, a 77-year-old former accountant from Oregon, decided to go raw for his health after reading a few wellness articles online. He began eating large salads every day, often loaded with raw cabbage, broccoli, kale, and cauliflower. He felt good at first, believing he was doing something positive for his body. But after a few weeks, Gerald began noticing uncomfortable bloating, excessive gas, and a heavy feeling in his stomach after meals. Even more concerning, his energy levels dipped, and he began feeling colder than usual, especially in the mornings. During his annual checkup, blood tests revealed a slight decline in thyroid function. His doctor asked about any changes in his diet, and when Gerald described his new raw cruciferous routine, the connection became clear. Cruciferous vegetables, such as cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, and Brussels sprouts, are incredibly nutritious. They are rich in fiber, vitamins, and cancer-fighting compounds. However, when eaten raw and in large amounts, they can interfere with thyroid function due to compounds called goitrogens. Goitrogens can reduce the thyroid's ability to absorb iodine, a mineral essential for producing thyroid hormones. For seniors, especially those with even mild thyroid dysfunction or a family history of hypothyroidism, this interference can tip the balance and lead to symptoms such as fatigue, sensitivity to cold, weight gain, and mental fog, all of which can be mistakenly attributed to just getting older. In addition to their impact on the thyroid, raw cruciferous vegetables are high in complex fibers and natural sugars that are difficult to digest. For younger adults with a robust digestive system, this may only cause mild discomfort, but for seniors whose digestion naturally slows with age, eating these vegetables raw can lead to persistent bloating, gas, and abdominal pain. Many older adults reduce their food intake after these uncomfortable meals, leading to a decline in nutrition and energy, a cycle that can gradually weaken the body over time. Gerald's doctor recommended that he continue eating cruciferous vegetables, but start cooking them lightly, steaming or sautéing them to reduce their goitrogenic effects and make them easier to digest. The difference was remarkable. His bloating disappeared, his digestion improved, and his thyroid numbers stabilized at the next follow-up. He still enjoyed his salads, but now used milder greens like romaine or butter lettuce, saving the cruciferous options for cooked meals. The message isn't that cruciferous vegetables are bad. In fact, they're among the healthiest foods in the world when prepared correctly. Seniors should absolutely continue eating them, but ideally in cooked form and not in large raw servings every day. Light cooking not only reduces goitrogens, but also softens the tough fibers, making them gentler on aging digestive systems and allowing for better nutrient absorption. If you're someone who regularly eats raw kale smoothies, cabbage slaws, or broccoli salads, and you've been noticing unusual fatigue, bloating, or cold sensitivity, it may be time to adjust how you prepare your greens. Simply steaming your vegetables or incorporating them into cooked dishes can help you avoid these hidden pitfalls while still enjoying all the benefits these powerful vegetables have to offer. Next, we'll look at a vegetable often praised for its blood pressure lowering effects, one that can be helpful in moderation, but may become risky for seniors already dealing with low or unstable blood pressure. Let's continue with number 6. Celery lowers blood pressure too much. Number 6. Celery lowers blood pressure too much. Mrs. Darlene, a 75-year-old retired seamstress from North Carolina, had always taken pride in keeping her blood pressure under control. For years, she had worked closely with her doctor to manage her mild hypertension with a combination of medication, walking, and healthy eating. Recently, however, she'd come across an article praising the benefits of celery for lowering blood pressure naturally. Encouraged by what she read, Darlene began incorporating raw celery into her diet daily, in salads, smoothies, and even as a crunchy snack dipped in hummus. It felt like a smart, natural step. But within a few weeks, Darlene started noticing something strange. She felt unusually tired during the day and sometimes dizzy when getting out of bed. One morning, she nearly fell while rising from her sofa. Alarmed, she checked her blood pressure and found it was far lower than normal. When she brought these symptoms to her doctor, the answer wasn't a new illness. It was her celery. Celery is indeed known for its natural diuretic and blood pressure lowering properties, which make it appealing to people managing hypertension. It contains a compound called phthalate, which can help relax the muscles around the arteries and promote better blood flow, effectively reducing pressure on the heart. But what many people, especially seniors, don't realize is that too much of a good thing can quickly become dangerous, particularly if you are already taking medications that lower blood pressure. The effects of celery may seem gentle on their own, but when combined with antihypertensive drugs, they can cause blood pressure to drop too low, leading to symptoms like lightheadedness, blurred vision, weakness, fatigue, and even fainting. For older adults, such sudden drops in pressure are especially risky because they significantly increase the chance of falling, a leading cause of injury and hospitalization in this age group. Celery also acts as a mild diuretic, which means it increases urine output and can contribute to dehydration if fluid intake is inadequate. For seniors who often don't feel as thirsty or may already struggle with low fluid levels, this can further compound the drop in blood volume and therefore blood pressure. Dehydration also brings its own risks: confusion, dizziness, and kidney strain. In Darlene's case, the combination of medication and celery was simply too much. After discussing her symptoms with her doctor, she scaled back to eating celery just 2 or 3 times a week and made sure to drink more water on the days she included it in her meals. Her energy returned and the dizziness faded within a few days. It's important to understand that celery isn't a dangerous food on its own, but like many healthy ingredients, it must be used in balance with your existing health status and medication. If you are already taking blood pressure medications, adding large amounts of celery every day may push your blood pressure down lower than is safe. That's why seniors should always talk with their doctor or pharmacist before making major changes to their diet, even when the foods involved seem harmless or natural. As with most things in health and nutrition, moderation and awareness are key. If you love celery, there's no need to give it up entirely. Just be mindful of how much you're eating and how your body responds. Pay attention to symptoms like dizziness, fatigue, or blurred vision, especially if they occur after meals or when standing. And remember, foods can be powerful, sometimes as powerful as medicine. and they should be treated with the same respect and care. Coming up next, we'll explore a vegetable that's been used for centuries to help with blood sugar, but that may become too effective when combined with diabetes medications, putting seniors at risk of dangerously low blood sugar. Let's continue with number 7. Bitter melon may interact with diabetes meds. Number 7. Bitter melon may interact with diabetes meds. Mr. Henry, an 80-year-old retired engineer from Texas, had been living with type 2 diabetes for nearly 2 decades. He took his medications on schedule, ate sensibly, and checked his blood sugar regularly. One day at a community health fair, he overheard someone praising bitter melon, also known as bitter gourd, for its powerful blood sugar-lowering effects. Curious and always open to natural remedies, he went home and started including bitter melon in his meals twice a week. At first, everything seemed fine, but within a few weeks, Henry began feeling unusually shaky in the late mornings. He sometimes felt sweaty, anxious, or mentally foggy. One afternoon, after skipping a snack and going out for a walk, he nearly fainted. His glucometer revealed something he hadn't seen in years: a dangerously low blood sugar reading. Confused, Henry visited his doctor, who reviewed his meals and quickly identified the cause: bitter melon. Bitter melon has long been used in traditional medicine, particularly in Asian and African cultures, as a natural way to help manage blood sugar. It contains active compounds such as charantan, vicine, and polypeptide P, all of which mimic the effects of insulin and help the body lower glucose levels. For people with mild or borderline blood sugar issues, this might sound like a benefit, but for seniors like Henry, who are already taking prescribed diabetes medications such as metformin, insulin, or sulfonylureas, adding bitter melon on top of that can result in hypoglycemia, a dangerous and sometimes life-threatening condition where blood sugar drops too low. Hypoglycemia isn't always obvious in older adults. It can show up as dizziness, confusion, weakness, blurred vision, shakiness, or even sudden mood changes. In more serious cases, it can lead to unconsciousness or falls, both of which pose a serious threat to independence and overall health. Another challenge is that bitter melon's potency can vary significantly depending on how it's prepared: raw, cooked, juiced, or taken in capsule form. That inconsistency makes it difficult to predict how strong its effects will be. Seniors who drink bitter melon juice in the morning and then take their usual medications without adjusting the dose may unknowingly set themselves up for a blood sugar crash within hours. That's exactly what happened to Henry. He wasn't trying to replace his medication. He was trying to support his health naturally. But in doing so, he unintentionally created a double lowering effect on his blood glucose. After discussing the situation with his doctor, Henry stopped eating bitter melon entirely and returned to a stable routine. His blood sugar levels became more predictable again, and the symptoms disappeared. He felt more in control and safer. This doesn't mean bitter melon is bad. For some people, especially those not on medication, it can be a helpful part of a blood sugar-conscious diet. But for seniors already managing diabetes with drugs, bitter melon can amplify the effects of their medication in unpredictable and unsafe ways. That's why it's so important to treat herbal and natural foods with the same caution you would give any pharmaceutical drug. Before adding bitter melon to your meals or juicing routine, speak with your doctor or a qualified dietitian who understands how these interactions work. At this stage of life, your health depends not just on eating healthy foods, but on eating wisely and intentionally, with full awareness of how food and medication interact. Bitter melon may come from nature, but its effects on the body are real, measurable, and potentially risky if misused. Knowing this empowers you to make better decisions, protect yourself from unexpected episodes of low blood sugar, and live with greater confidence in your health. Now that we've gone through all 7 vegetables that may pose hidden dangers to older adults, it's time to tie everything together. In the final section, we'll reflect on what we've learned and offer guidance on how to build a safer, smarter relationship with vegetables as we age. Let's move on to the conclusion. As we wrap up this important conversation, one thing becomes clear. Not all vegetables are created equal, and not all of them are safe for everyone, especially as we get older. For most of our lives, we've been taught that vegetables are always healthy, always good, and that the more we eat, the better. But now we know that as our bodies age, they change, and so must the way we nourish them. Foods that once supported us might now need to be adjusted, moderated, or even avoided in order to protect our health and independence. Throughout this video, we've explored 7 vegetables that can pose unexpected risks for seniors. We learned how raw bean sprouts can introduce harmful bacteria to a weakened immune system. We saw how too much parsley can thin the blood and interfere with medications. We uncovered how white radish can lower blood pressure too quickly, while spinach, though rich in nutrients, may contribute to kidney stones if eaten in excess. We discussed the challenges raw cruciferous vegetables can bring to digestion and thyroid health, and how celery, while helpful for blood pressure, can push it too low when combined with medications. And finally, we looked at how bitter melon, used for its blood sugar lowering properties, can become dangerous when paired with diabetes medications, risking hypoglycemia and serious side effects. But the point of this video isn't to scare you or make you fear your plate. It's to empower you, because knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. When you understand how food works in your aging body, you gain the ability to make smart, confident choices. You stop guessing and start knowing. You move from blindly following trends or advice to actually listening to your body, your doctor, and your experience. If there's one thing we hope you take away, it's this. Eating healthy is not about eating more. It's about eating smart. It's about finding balance, paying attention to how you feel after meals, and being open to small adjustments that make a big difference. You don't have to give up the foods you love, but you may need to change how often you eat them, how you prepare them, or what you combine them with. You may need to ask more questions, read a little more closely, or bring a new level of mindfulness to your meals. And that's okay, because every bite you take is a step toward better strength, clarity, and longevity. So the next time you're in the kitchen, looking at your plate, we invite you to pause and ask, is this nourishing my body or challenging it? That one question, asked with kindness and curiosity, could be the key to staying steady, strong, and independent for years to come. Thank you for being here, for learning, and for caring about your health. You are not alone in this journey, and your efforts matter. Stay curious, stay kind to yourself, and stay committed to feeding your body in ways that help you feel your best. The power is already in your hands, or better yet, on your fork. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and haven't yet liked and subscribed, now is the perfect time to do so. It really helps our channel grow and reach more people who need this kind of helpful content. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll always know when a new video is up. Your support truly means the world to us. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.